Hello, my beautiful co-creators. Lilu here. I'm today with Penney Peirce.
Yes.
We're in California. Hello,
Yes.
Penney.
Hi.
This is good to be with you in person this time.
I know.
After connecting online, now I'm finally seeing you.
Yeah.
This is an extraordinary lady, guys. I don't know if you've seen my previous interviews with her, but you wrote many books, Penny, including The Frequency, the Power of Personal Vibration, and The Intuitive Ways, and the Dream Dictionary for Dummies. And you are definitely one of the pioneers leading the way about intuition.
Yes.
Back in 77.
Yes.
So you've been studying this for decades.
Yes.
And so this is amazing. So tell us, how do you, let's straighten things up first. How do you define intuition? What is intuition?
Intuition, to me, intuition is a direct knowing that comes from when you're in the present moment, in your body, and basically when your body, mind, and spirit are all merged into one thing, and that happens in the present moment. And when that happens, you have a direct insight about something, and it's usually accurate. But you only get intuition really when you're in the present moment. So in a way, it's kind of like using the left brain and the right brain at the same time. And also then when that happens, the whole body consciousness comes into play. So it's like a very holistic way of knowing. Also, it's interesting, when you do know that way, then you become very interconnected with what's around you as well.
Yeah.
You don't feel separate and isolated from the outer world. It becomes interconnected. That gives you access to even more information, because,
And precious information.
Yeah, and just what you need to know, not worries and things that are going to distract you, but just what you need to know in that moment. So I think today really intuition is so important because of the fragmentation we're having with all the texting and cell phones and the more and more different kinds of things we're doing with electronic media.
We're bombarded by information, and we have to tap into this knowing that is way beyond that is connected to, what is it connected to actually? What is the intuition connected to?
It's connected to the unified field, which is a field of energy, but it's also a field of consciousness. Energy and consciousness are like flip sides of the same thing, So you are in the unified field. There's no separation here at the skin. We're just a field of particles. Somehow we're in the center of it. Our consciousness has shown up in the center of it. But when you relax and sort of let go of all your definitions, like who am I? I'm an ego. Let go of that. You become suddenly expanded out through that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then anything that needs to come through you can come through you. A motive to do something, a piece of information you need,
A person.
And a person can show up suddenly, or you could change your personality even if you wanted to be totally different very quickly. Like, they talk about shapeshifters. I think that'll happen eventually. We'll be able to maybe even change the way we look.
Tell us more about that. We never spoke about that.
No, we haven't. I think of it a bit like shamans. They have this ability to change shape. Some of them change into an illusion of an animal, but others can change and look old or look young. And I don't know, sometimes that happens. You look in the mirror and you look really old one day, and then suddenly energy runs through you and you look like 10 years younger or something. But think of that as really expanded into a much more dramatic way. Those things could be possible.
What are those things possible now? What does it allow us, practically speaking, in our lives? Why do we have those infinite possibilities now of even changing our shape?
You mean, why are they coming in now?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a reason why they're coming in, except that the world is accelerating.
Yeah.
The energy in the world right now is accelerating. That means its frequency is speeding up. And as that happens, a lot of things start happening. For instance, consciousness starts to come into the present moment almost entirely. I know a lot of people are experiencing time speeding up, but what's really happening is that the present moment is taking over everything. It's swallowing up the past and it's swallowing up the future. So that everything's in the moment now. So that your future is not like some line that you track through down the path, and have to go from A, B, C, D, E. your future is a new frequency of awareness that's inside the present moment.
Very cool.
Right? So if you were able to raise your frequency to the level where that particular kind of reality was happening, you'd be in it right now. It wouldn't take all that time for it to occur. So that's why a lot of things are really going through fundamental change right now. For instance, therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like people used to be in therapy for 10 years,
yeah.
talking and talking and talking and nothing happening.
Hmm.
But now, it's almost like I get that we don't have to go into the past anymore to say, oh, my father abused me or whatever it was, and now I'm crippled because I can't, I had this happen to me. No, you stay in the present moment and you keep plugging into who you really are now. And that old memory pattern becomes kind of ghost-like and transparent, and it starts to fade away because you're not feeding it with your attention. And it starts to just, you forget about it. It's not like you have to get rid of it. It just stops existing for you.
Mm.
And what happens in that healing process, I think, is that people start to, they go, wait a minute, did that happen to me? Was that mine? Maybe not, like.
So there's a sense of identification that is not as strong, too.
Right. The attachment, the holding of the pattern and saying, this is me.
Right.
It's just gone. And it's so easy now. And I think, so for mental and emotional healing is going to be very fast. And then physical healing will be fast also. Almost, overnight.
It's incredible to think that your first book was on the present moment, and now we're still talking about it, and
Right.
it's more important than ever.
That's right.
Do you read it back and look at it again? And
Yeah, I think that it's odd that somehow in my early years, I did know what I was aiming at without knowing what I was aiming at.
Mm-hmm,
Do you know?
yeah.
And the themes just were there, and they dropped into place at the right time. And they're all leading to something also. The next book, whatever it's going to be.
And all this is available to us right now. And you're saying past, present, future is collapsing.
Right.
Is there a way to be more in the present moment, or really shape our future to the best, or tap in this energy? Or
Yeah. Well, in frequency, I talk a lot about finding.
This is a great book. I love
Finding
it.
your home frequency.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes I call it your preferred state. It's like there are times when we feel awful and we hate the way things feel, but then there are other times where we're really being ourselves and like a happy child and just going along and enjoying things,
yeah.
right, in the flow. And if you can isolate that experience and, look at it and say, take a snapshot of it and say, oh, this is my home frequency. This is the way I like to feel when I'm my best.
Mm.
And then go back and look at the ones where you didn't like the way it felt, the worst possible scenarios, and go, ooh, that felt awful. Now, which one would I prefer? And realize that you are at choice. You get to choose.
Mm-hmm.
The world is not doing this to you.
Mm-hmm.
You get to choose how you want to feel. And then you intentionally return to the memory of the good state, the open state. Then the frequency in your body changes, and you're back in touch with your soul. Then the information you get is really accurate. It's on purpose for you. But of course, it's very easy to be distracted from your home frequency. Like I said, through the media and the fragmentation of looking at a million different things.
And old patterns.
And all of your old patterns and your programming from your culture and your parents and your family lineage and all kinds of things. I call those soul blockers. Those are things that are sort of like clutter. They're in the way of the free flow of the soul through the body into the world, into the creative process, where if you didn't have that clutter, you would be just living your destiny.
100%.
100%. You wouldn't have any blockages. Things would unfold for you very, very easily. You'd feel lucky. And even if contractions occurred, it doesn't have to be all paralyzing.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to someone this morning. I said, the consciousness expands and contracts. That's natural. That's what we do here on Earth. We oscillate. But contraction has to do with focus. And expansion is like accessing higher information.
Mm-hmm.
So the natural flow is to go out and get the big ideas and get excited about something. Then you focus and you contract back down and you do a task. Well, that's not negative. That's just physical. Then you relax and you go back out and you open up and you get another piece of the vision. Then you come back down and you do another task in the present moment. But what happens is that we start identifying contraction with fear and negativity, that it's bad. It's not. It's just that when you lock it down and you keep it from allowing you to move forward, then, it's just in the way. It's just not useful. But we've like glorified fear, and really it's just something that's in the way to me. And lately I'm very thinking quite a bit about how we plug our attention into certain patterns, like a jack into a stereo or the computer, and you plug it in and the power goes through and it makes that pattern come alive. If you look at it, it comes alive and stays alive because you're maintaining it. If you unplug from it and then plug back into yourself or into your home frequency, then that pattern doesn't get any juice. And it starts to fade, and eventually it goes away and you forget about it.
So it's like there's all those different paths and possibilities happening at the same time, and we choose which possibility. We could choose really, and we have the choice of choosing the best possibility and outcome at every moment.
And we don't always know what that is, but I think that in the moment you choose what has, lately I've come to see this as the greatest sense of deep pleasure. Because there is a kind of pleasure state that we go into where it's not about getting off in some, distracted state. It's about a sort of a sense of communion or amazement or engagement with what's going on, where you feel so connected that it feels safe and like a big relief to be here, and it's just so lovely. That
meditative nearly.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, in a way it's lucky. It's sort of like, here's a book, and this is really made out of the unified field, shaping itself into this book for us right now, Thank
pretty
you.
magical.
Wow, thank you. We made this, and it's here to be with us. And so lately that's what I've been doing a lot in my personal practice. I just drop into the moment, out of my left brain that's been going crazy, and drop in, and then I just notice everything around me, the objects, the people, whatever's there, and then I go, it's all here because we all want to be together, and thank you, and they're enjoying me and I'm enjoying them, and it's just lovely.
So would you say that gratitude is that bridge?
I think it is, truly. If you experience gratitude, you're feeling connection with things. That leads you to that experience of communion where you feel one with, literally almost the same as, or you find the core energy inside of a thing that is the unified field. It is and that unified field and the collective consciousness are the same thing, right? And that's what we're starting to come into in the present moment. So that we're starting to really get it, that all those things have the same consciousness in it that I have in me. So we're related. It's family. Do you know? And so it's friendly. I don't have to separate myself from it and make it dangerous. I can do the opposite. I can make it friendly. And the world changes then. The whole way the world even functions and the way you make up your reality totally changes. See, that's what I think we're talking about in transformation, is that the world itself is going to be made up from different principles and will function differently. And the old way of doing things will be so old and so antiquated and so slow that it just actually won't work. And
it won't make sense anymore to operate from that perspective.
It'll be like, watching a movie from 1930 or something, and seeing the dialogue and what they thought was funny or important. Often it's just like, wow, that looks really old. It'll seem like a dinosaur. But I think that we're seeing right now sort of the death of those old ways, and that people who are invested in that old way of thinking, which would be cause and effect thinking, or it would be having control or power over things and trying to maintain form just the way it is and never let it change because it agrees with me, it supports my sense of self. Instead of being fluid and flexible and letting yourself evolve, you try to maintain that control over things. And, well, that can't happen. It's like a huge, huge river or lake behind a dam that's breaking. It's just not going to be able to hold up anymore.
Especially with the amount of information, as you said earlier, and the speed at which things happen, we do have to be very fluid, very kind of liquid even.
Very yes, liquid is a good word for it. In your consciousness and allowing even your body, to change the way things function within your body. I was writing a piece the other day on lack of motivation. Like, what is it? Because I was thinking, maybe I'm not very motivated right now. What's wrong with me? And then what my writing said was that sometimes you can feel a lack of motivation because the old paradigm is now changing into the new one, and what you used to identify as success, you're not even interested really in anymore, or you don't want to make your success up in the same way that you used to do it, like using willpower and cleverness. And you're starting to sense this very graceful, fluid, spontaneous, lucky way that it's going to happen, but you're not quite in it all the way yet, and your body's not used to the changes.
Yeah, so you're like in no man's land.
You're in that limbo place where things are just changing, and because there's nothing happening, the left brain will say it's wrong, something's bad, you're wrong, it'll try to make some kind of form and structure for it. And you have to wait. Because what I got was that even like your adrenaline levels might be changing, or your neurotransmitters, or your hormones or something can all be going through some kind of shift out of stress levels into something that's all about luck and grace. And, if it doesn't have stress, some people don't think it's real. So people will go through physical changes.
And that's part of this change that we're living right now.
Oh yeah.
Physically, our brain, our DNA, everything is adjusting to this new vibration.
Yeah, new circuitry, new flows, new levels of vibration, where things just happen so fast that it's illogical.
Yeah,
the left brain is like, what's happening?
So we're going from the mind to the heart. I mean, you speak a lot about the heart.
I think that we're going. I'm not saying the left brain is bad. It's useful for making things happen and logic and analysis and all that, but it shouldn't be running the show.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we have to shift to the right brain and then merge the two together. And then what happens is we get the heart and the whole cellular, auric, non-localized brain of the whole self, where then we're knowing from the field, and the field is the brain. It's not just like locked into this little. I had a friend who once called the brain the walnuts, and I always thought that was good because it just seemed like there were these little hard things there, that weren't very flexible.
So it's like we're accessing this one brain, as Dr. Larry Dossey speaks of.
Yeah.
This one field of intelligence.
A field of intelligence, and that's really what the soul is.
Yeah.
It's a whole conglomeration of all your lifetimes and probably everybody else's lifetime localized in this present moment. We each have a slightly different local spot. You're right there and I'm right here, but we're using the same source, for what we're doing.
So it's really allowing ourselves to be in communication with others and to present ourselves in life within this field, and knowing that this is guiding us too, and we're not on our own.
That's right, and we don't have to do it all by ourselves either. I always think that the thoughts I get have to come from somewhere. They're coming from the us, or from the collective. So that if I'm just open, that collective consciousness will seed a thought to me. And it'll seem like my thought, like I thought it up, but it's our thought.
Yeah.
that is being given to me, and I'm part of us, right? Because I want it too, but I want it because everybody wants it. For me, because I'm shaped in a certain way, and I have a certain ability to filter things, and you have your way, and and what comes through me, if I'm open and non-resistant, I'll shape it and then send it back out to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get benefit from it. So they want me to win.
Mm-hmm.
The whole collective wants us to be successful because then they get the benefit of it, right? So I figure if I think it up, it's there for a reason, and I just go with it. So I have total trust in what comes to me. But I also do make sure that I have time to be quiet, because if you get too distracted and too much up in the surface levels of the brain, you tend to not be able to feel that deep sense of what the message really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some silence, and time in nature and things where you're not overstimulated is like crucial today,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to hear the right messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I think I mentioned it in this book. I've been calling it now this function of our awareness that I call it the inner perceiver. And it's just that I think there's a part of our mind, I guess you would say, that notices what we notice. You notice one set of things all day, and I notice a different set. We have different realities.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever we notice, I think is there for a good reason. So I've started having a dialogue with this inner perceiver.
Oh.
And saying, okay, why am I noticing this right now? Or what do I already know about this situation that's coming to me? Why are you, me, showing me this? And so it's part of my process. And I just say, well, it's there for a good reason, and I must know something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my dialogue all day long with that part of my own self. So that also helps me be a little more quiet,
Yeah.
because I'm not listening to everybody in the outer world.
Yeah, I was going to say, that dialogue happens anyway. There is this critic otherwise, or this other voice that shows up, or the voice of the ego. So you might as well have a constructive dialogue.
Right,
with
right,
your higher
right.
self.
Right, or to be able to differentiate between the ego voice
Yeah.
and the inner perceiver voice, which, they have a whole different... The ego voice says should all the time,
Mm.
Or yes, but, or it has some, negative
Twist to it.
twist, yeah.
But the other one is much more quiet and gentle.
Yeah, and it says things like, I'm curious about, I'm interested in, I like, I'm doing this now. It speaks in positive, and I don't mean jacked up positive, I mean what exists now. It speaks about what exists, not about what might not ever happen,
Mm-hmm. So very
So
much
that
based
you
in the
were-
present moment again.
Yeah.
Mm. So tell us about, because I know that you did some books on dreams and interpreting
Yeah.
dreams. So how are dreams, are dreams a tool actually to help us raise our vibration, our frequency, or?
I think so, because from working with my own dreams for so many years, that's how I got my own information a lot of times, would just come through my dreams. I started realizing that dreams are very real, that at night you're actually able to freely move through dimensions of the self, different frequencies of consciousness. I call it, in my books, I call it the dream zones.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really like, you could say it's the astral level or the emotional or the mental or whatever. But that we move in and out, we travel through there, and we work on issues. We look at things, we're curious, we learn, we remember things at night. But we do during the day as well, because sometimes we're here and then we space out. Where did we go? We went to another dimension to maybe access a piece of information. And then we come back and we show back up here again, But we're oscillating constantly, day or night.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The soul is doing it all, right? So everything's kind of a dream. This is a dream too.
It's an awakened dream.
It's an waking dream. And so then what comes out of that is that we have 24-hour consciousness, right? So that if you're dreaming about a certain theme, and then something like that happens during the day, or you carry it over, It's not that the dream caused the daytime experience or the daytime experience carried into the night, but that the soul is doing it during the day and the night at the same time. So it's all related. So I'm a big proponent of connecting the nighttime experience to the day in the morning by remembering dreams or setting intention for the day.
Before we go to bed?
No, before we get up in the morning.
Oh, before we get up in the morning?
In the morning. Bring your dreams back. Do something in the morning to check what was I doing last night. Then you live your day and you get to the nighttime and you say, how did I do today?
Mm-hmm.
Did I do what I wanted, and what do I want to do tonight? Set your intention for the night.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah,
And
setting an intention also to remember, because
Yes,
not all
and
of
to
us
remember. Yeah, and knowing that I am going to remember because I'm doing 24-hour consciousness now, and I'm going to write something down. As soon as you kind of prime the pump with that a little bit, it starts happening. And then you start seeing how everything's so interconnected, and that the process you might be working on in your dreams might be that you have some issue that's blocking the flow, and you want to get rid of it. Or maybe that you need a new piece of guidance for a new cycle of creativity, and then you're getting that. You know, so I think, dreams are incredibly important.
How about recurring dreams?
You're probably not listening well enough, And if they're nightmares, it may be that partly those things are trying to surface to be cleared, to be understood. Something's trying to be understood. So you need to trust it and work with it, bring it forth. So, going back into dreams and working with them in a way like redreaming them in a meditation, or extending them a little bit and saying, well, what might happen if I took this a little further, or what if I introduced another character and they could help me in this? You get all kinds of insights about it from there, because you may be cut off in the middle of a dream when you remember it and not quite get it, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wonderful...
That's extraordinary. So it's very modulable. You can... I love the fact that you can bring characters into it.
Oh, yeah.
How cool
sure,
is
it's
that?
just imagination.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Totally.
I'm thinking more and more lately about imagination as a highly important skill, because everything is imagination. We're making our world up every day out of our imagination and what we choose to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't sit down and dream or imagine things or play in your mind about making something up, you're never going to be able to change your reality very easily.
Mm-hmm.
The soul will change things at a certain time, but if you were working with imagination, it would be like that.
And Einstein knew that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I sometimes work with, I just have a workshop space in my imagination. And I imagine taking a little elevator up to a floor, and then the doors open, and I walk out into the imaginal realm.
Oh, cool.
And some days it looks like nature, and I go for a walk. Or some days I make a sculpture, or some days I decide what kind of next book I might want to write, or whatever.
Yeah.
And what's fun about it is that you start a process going of thinking about a sculpture, say, and then you go start to make it. Then it starts making itself with you.
Awesome.
Playing back at you.
And that's really where the magic is.
That's right. Because then the outer world, you and the outer world are doing it together. And it's so fun because it's so spontaneous and it gives you surprises. And
That is so your next book.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And it is about connecting the inner and outer world and all these things.
Yeah.
And
it's much more playful too.
Well, think about how we just addicted to television and videos and screens today, where everything's coming at us. Nothing's coming out of us. So that, we're very stimulated visually and all that, but how many of us are actually accessing our own imagination to make things? So I wonder about this. It's in the back of my mind of how is evolution actually happening because of all of this electronic stuff? Is it good, or is it hurting us or slowing us, or what? I'm not sure yet.
Some people are saying too that it could help us to evolve to new levels, like new levels of communication.
It could evolve the collective consciousness, really, so that you start to feel, if Facebook's any example, you feel friendly with everybody, suddenly, immediately. You don't know that much about them, but you feel friendly toward them. So what if that keeps on going? You might have a collective consciousness, but it's in the external world. So now how does that suddenly burn away the boundaries to the internal world, and you realize energetically we are the same? Maybe it doesn't matter. If you're an extrovert, you go out and you do it in the outer world, and eventually it becomes the inner world. And if you go into the inner world, eventually it becomes the outer world. Probably that's what's going to happen. It probably doesn't matter which way you are, you know. But I think introverts and extroverts probably have different pathways into this, you know.
How is it, just to end this conversation with your vision and what you were seeing back then 30 or so years ago and what you're seeing now? I mean, this is truly, it's awesome to see a vision come true. Are you seeing it right now, and do you have hope for the future?
Oh, I have.
Or in the present?
Well, when I started, I had a sense that there was something called transformation, but I didn't know what it was exactly. And then it's been revealing itself to me as I've been going along. So if I keep paying attention, I keep getting more nuance about how and why and how it's working and the mechanics of it. Because I'm a designer, remember. I used to just do problem solving all the time and try to design logos and things like that. And so I'm always looking at the how and the why and the mechanics of things. And I want to get the overview, and then I want to bring it down and detail it, you know, and translate it. So I see a kind of a magical thing happening, and it's partly because it's just this time period. The energy is vibrating at a level where it can happen. It just couldn't happen before. A certain thing wasn't visible before, you know. It wasn't because we were dumb. It was just, you know, we couldn't see it yet.
Yeah.
Now we're at a new level, and like a mirage is occurring in front of us, and we're going, oh, yes, that's the way it's going to work. It's all going to happen because of the energy, you know. And I think that there are people who are very rooted in the old way of thinking that we talked about before, who will feel that it will be too difficult to take on the new way of knowing, that they just can't fathom how they could make the change. And they probably will die in some various ways. I mean, I've seen a lot of suicides happening on the planet, and mass deaths, and just people just checking out and stuff, where people who have been growing and opening and consciously evolving, they're just going to shoot forward, you know. And I think that we're going to have a period of great innovation and lots of inventors and lots of groups coming together to invent things together out of a group mind.
Community, through
but also
togetherness.
in maybe retreat centers where people come together, like summit meetings, and they sit down and they focus and meditate together and go into connection with higher beings or something, you know, and get technologies that we didn't have and bring it back. I've even seen children in these groups working with the adults. And I mean, I just think it's going to accelerate that the problems that need to be solved now, they can't be solved out of the old way of thinking. It just, they won't do it. But the new way of thinking will solve them instantaneously. I think medically, for instance, things like cancer and vibrational illnesses, they're at a certain level of frequency. We're going beyond it. As soon as you go beyond the frequency of the illness, it disappears.
Unless something else is retaining it or holding it back.
Then you
from
don't go
growing.
beyond the frequency of the illness.
Yeah.
If you're contracted...
I'm thinking of science right now, where it's at.
Yeah. But there will be people who are going beyond it. And then there will be proofs that this can happen. You know, energetic healers and sound healers and all that. I mean, it's going to be proven.
Yeah, the proofs are going to be so numerous.
And there will be machines that do it, too, that raise the frequency of the body.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know. I mean, it'll be like
That's what
Star
you see.
Trek. You know?
That's how you feel. Right now, those machines are not
I think
there
there will be there. I don't know what it'll be. Something that helps people change their vibration.
Okay.
You know, but I think that things that have plagued us, you know, like AIDS and cancer and things, are going to be like old-fashioned. They're going to be gone. You know, those things. It's going to be. I was thinking how movies might change too. When the plots are so antiquated about pain and suffering and violence and, you know, all the things that movies are about now that are based on immature emotions and childhood pain. There will be so gone. What will movies be about?
Well, I know just a lot of us now, some movies don't make any more sense, and the TV doesn't make any more sense. That's why there's internet, that's why we're doing this, because we're not feeding our soul from those current content.
Yeah.
It needs to change.
Absolutely.
And I feel as individuals, all of us are leaders on this. We all have to take charge.
Yeah.
It's possible to all of us now.
It's like a new mythology coming in, and that means new stories, new storylines, new things that are interesting, you know. And I think that transformational stories where people are uplifted and suddenly heal themselves or change themselves are going to be like a leading edge thing now. People want to hear about that. You know.
Spontaneous healing, spontaneous information,
right,
spontaneous, instantaneous.
Yes, yes.
But we have to be in the present moment and be open and receiving that and be ready. Do you have, is there some kind of grounding techniques that you have or some kind of ways to really make sure we're in that energy, you know, soft energy and not ego energy?
I do, there's an exercise in the book where you imagine that you have your diamond light body, that version of yourself that's made out of pure transparent light. No blockages, no fear, no pain, nothing, just pure wisdom and love. And he or she looks like you, standing behind your back, puts their hands on your shoulders, and you start to tune into them. Then you imagine that they just step inside of you, slide in, you know, and then kind of match up with you so that their brain comes into your brain and their eyes into your eyes and their voice into your voice and their heart into your heart. Now, all you just scan, and even the cells have little light particles that come into each one, you know, and everything gets taken over by this wiser you. And then you just say to this part of yourself, you say, well, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but you do, so please help me take over and show me what I need to do. So you're not giving your power away to somebody outside yourself. You're giving your power to yourself, you know, and then you start to feel the tactile quality of that energy inside of you. And you can, you know, you can just kind of tune up.
Yeah.
And if you do that every day, you can even do it while you're driving, you know, just, you know, and you become very conscious. And it really starts repatterning your subconscious and, you know, the way you think about yourself and how conscious your body is. I think that's one of the easiest things to do, that you're just really fully present. And also you can then ask that light to work on the parts of you that are hurting or in shadow or contracted, you know. If you feel like there's a real solid place in you that you can't even see what's going on when you look, you know, that, ask it to help it become transparent, you know. So I do that a lot.
Very cool. Yeah. Penny, this is awesome. This is great meeting you and great to have those conversations.
Oh, it's wonderful.
This is great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Much love, my beautiful co-creator. This is another juicy conversation, isn't it? But if you want to check more interviews, you can go to juicylivingtour.com. Bye!
Bye-bye. Happening is that the present moment is taking over everything. It's swallowing up the past and it's swallowing up the future. So that everything's in the moment now. So that your future is not like some line that you track through down the path, you know, and have to go from A, B, C, D, E. Your future is a new frequency of awareness that's inside the present moment.
Very cool.
Right? So if you were able to raise your frequency to the level where that particular kind of reality was happening, you'd be in it right now. It wouldn't take all that time for it to occur. So that's why a lot of things are really going through fundamental change right now. For instance, therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like people used to be in therapy for 10 years,
yeah.
talking and talking and talking and nothing happening. But now, it's almost like I get that we don't have to go into the past anymore to say, oh, my father abused me or whatever it was, and now I'm crippled because I can't, I had this happen to me. No, you stay in the present moment and you keep plugging into who you really are now. And that old memory pattern becomes kind of ghost-like and transparent, and it starts to fade away because you're not feeding it with your attention. And it starts to just, you forget about it. It's not like you have to get rid of it. It just stops existing for you. And what happens in that healing process, I think, is that people to do something, a piece of information you need,
A person.
And a person can show up suddenly, or you could change your personality even if you wanted to be totally different very quickly. Like, they talk about shapeshifters. I think that'll happen eventually. We'll be able to maybe even change the way we look.
Tell us more about that. We never spoke about that.
No, we haven't. I think of it a bit like shamans. They have this ability to change shape. Some of them change into an illusion of an animal, but others can change and look old or look young. And I don't know, sometimes that happens. You look in the mirror and you look really old one day, and then suddenly energy runs through you and you look like 10 years younger or something. But think of that as really expanded into, a much more dramatic way. Those things could be possible.
What are those things possible now? What does it allow us, practically speaking, in our lives? Why do we have those infinite possibilities now of even changing our shape?
You mean, why are they coming in now?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a reason why they're coming in, except that the world is accelerating.
Yeah.
The energy in the world right now is accelerating. That means its frequency is speeding up. And as that happens, a lot of things start happening. For instance, consciousness starts to come into the present moment almost entirely. I know a lot of people are experiencing time speeding up, but what's really happening?
Hello, my beautiful co-creators. Lilu here. I'm today with Penney Peirce.
Yes.
We're in California. Hello,
Yes.
Penny.
Hi.
This is good to be with you in person this time.
I know.
After connecting online, now I'm finally seeing you.
Yeah.
This is an extraordinary lady, guys. I don't know if you've seen my previous interviews with her, but you wrote many books, Penny, including the frequency, the power of personal vibration, and the intuitive ways, and the dream dictionary for dummies. And you are definitely one of the pioneers leading the way about intuition.
Yes.
Back in '77.
Yes.
So you've been studying this for decades.
Yes.
And so this is amazing. So tell us, how do you, let's straighten things up first. How do you define intuition? What is intuition?
Intuition, to me, intuition is a direct knowing that comes from when you're in the present moment, in your body, and basically when your body, mind, and spirit are all merged into one thing, and that happens in the present moment. And when that happens, you have a direct insight about something, and it's usually accurate. But you only get intuition really when you're in the present moment. So in a way, it's kind of like using the left brain and the right brain at the same time. And also then when that happens, the whole body consciousness comes into play. So it's like a very holistic way of knowing. Start to, they go, wait a minute, did that happen to me? Was that mine? Maybe not,
So there's a sense of identification that is not as strong, too.
Right. The attachment, the holding of the pattern and saying, this is me.
Right.
It's just gone. And it's so easy now. And I think, so for mental and emotional healing is going to be very fast. And then physical healing will be fast also. Almost, overnight.
It's incredible to think that your first book was on the present moment, and now we're still talking about it. And
Right.
it's more important than ever.
That's right.
Do you
Right.
read it back and look at it
Yeah.
again? And
Yeah, I think that it's odd that somehow in my early years, I did know what I was aiming at without knowing what I was aiming at. Do you know?
Mhm,
And the
yeah.
themes just were there, and they dropped into place at the right time. And they're all leading to something also. The next book, you know, whatever it's going to be.
And all this is available to us right now. And you're saying past, present, future is collapsing.
Right.
Is there a way to be more in the present moment, or really shape our future to the best, or tap in this energy? Or
Yeah. Well, in frequency, I talk a lot about finding
this is a
your,
great book. I love
finding
it.
your home frequency,
Yeah.
which is sometimes I call it your preferred state. You know, it's like there are times when we feel awful and we hate the. Also, you know, it's interesting when you do know that way. Then you become very interconnected with what's around you
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
You don't feel separate and isolated from the outer world. It becomes interconnected.
Mhm.
That gives you access to even more information.
Mhm.
You know,
And
because-
precious information.
Yeah, and you know, just what you need to know, not, you know, worries and things that are going to distract you, but just what you need to know in that moment. You know, so I think today really intuition is so important because of the fragmentation we're having with all the, you know, texting and cell phones and the more and more different kinds of things we're doing with electronic media.
We're bombarded by information, and we have to tap into this knowing that is way beyond, that is connected to. What is it connected to, actually? What is the intuition connected to?
It's connected to the unified field,
Uh-huh.
which is a field of energy, but it's also a field of consciousness. You know, energy and consciousness are like flip sides of the same thing, you know. So you are in the unified field. There's no separation here at the skin. We're just a field of particles. Somehow we're in the center of it. Our consciousness has shown up in the center of it. But when you relax and sort of let go of all your definitions, like, who am I? You know, I'm an ego. Let go of that. You become suddenly expanded out through that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then anything that needs to come through you can come through you. A motive,